What is the meaning of existence? Is there a God, a grand architect? Is there a truth searched for by countless generations and lost in the mists of time? The drive to find the answer to the ultimate question may well be over, for today we have a new science, a new terminology to explain and expound upon the biggest of truths. The answer may not be what we expect. It may not be the God we have been led to believe in, but it may very well answer some of the most profound questions man has ever asked. John Steinbeck said in the log from the Sea of Cortez, "Man is related inextricably to all reality, known and unknowable. Plankton, a shimmering phosphorescence on the sea and the spinning planets, and an expanding universe, all bound together by the elastic string of time. It is advisable to look from the tide pool to the stars, and then back to the tide pool again." The universe is an awe-inspiring place, a macrocosmic tide pool filled with galaxies, and yet also quite empty to our perceptions. Around 10 to 15 billion years ago, existence began and time erupted into a void of nothingness, with the comically named Big Bang. The term was in fact given by Fred Hoyle, the infamous astronomer, who paradoxically believed in a totally different concept he called the steady-state theory, whereby the universe gradually emerges rather than in one incredible explosion. Today, scientists have all but proven the Big Bang theory, with measurements of red and blue shift, the coming towards and going away noise seen in the red and blue extremes of the light spectrum. In addition to this, at the end of the last century, scientists discovered background radiation signatures from the very first cosmic moments of the Big Bang. In these early moments of a new existence, the mathematical equations of all things were being worked out from the initial chaos. Mathematical laws underpin the fabric of the universe, not just atoms, but people, stars and galaxies. Inside every atom, there are beautiful mathematical forces binding them together, and these bind everything else: our skin, the land, the planets, and gravity itself. Inside every atom, there is also a huge space, an empty void, little understood by science. And not surprisingly, the same thing occurs in the vastness of space. We term this void dark matter because we do not understand it. It is like the mind. What we see is consciousness, the part of our mind we are aware of. And it also within our mind is dark matter we call the unconscious world. We are only aware of this world in our dreams, or in conscious, lucid dreaming. The average concentration of atoms in the universe is 0.2 atoms per cubic metre. This is what we see, 4% of what is actually in existence. In fact, most of the material in the universe emits no light, no infrared heat, no radio waves, or any other kind of radiation, and so it is consequently almost impossible to detect. We have to dream of its existence. We have to infer its properties from what we know. How true this is of our own unconscious self, and if consciousness is but 4% of our mind that we can see, then how much more is there to know? Scientists have found almost weightless and electrically neutral particles called neutrinos. These are exotic particles that go right through the Earth itself. In truth, they are like neurons firing in our brains, the thought particles. But incredibly, just as the neutrino is electrically neutral, we too have to be in a neutral state to understand and access our unconscious world. We have to be neither awake nor asleep. If a correlation were drawn between ourselves and the greater universe, then the galaxies of light would be the conscious world, and dark matter would be the unconscious. We are in a remarkable likeness to the universe, to what some would call God. Clement of Alexandria said, "For the image of God is his word, the genuine Son of Mind, the divine word, the archetypal light of light. The image of the word is the true man. This word is a vibration from the very heart of the creation, from the heart of dark matter. It is a mathematical equation fostering life, light, and mind." And, as we shall see, the form of the crystal, configured just like that of the universe, and indeed our own mind, is also mainly empty space. It is in this space that scientists store and harness vast amounts of information, in the dark matter of the crystal. St. Augustine said, "The universe was brought into being in a less than fully formed state, but there is more to the tale to transform itself from unformed matter into a truly marvellous array of structure and life forms." That gifting spoken of by St. Augustine is now known by scientists as a mathematical equation, but this does not reveal a purpose, a why. Instead, it only reveals how it was formed. The answer to why may well be found within the mind of what can only be called God. A series of special numbers now exist which explain how all things work, from the atom to the largest sun. Gravity, electromagnetism, time, light, and all manner of phenomena emerged with the interlinked and intertwined mathematical strands that unite all things together. What was created was a wonderful crystal-like structure, often termed the matrix. Max Planck said, "We must assume behind this force the existence of a conscious and intelligent mind. This mind is the matrix of all matter." We, as humans, are poised at the very centre of this incredible force. It would take as many humans to make up the mass of the Sun as there are atoms within each one of us. The Sun is 1 billion metres in diameter, and a molecule is 1 billionth of a metre. We are perfectly situated in between. This is perfection in a mathematically balanced nature, and yet we are unaware of our special position. Our size and our position in the solar system is crucial for life to exist as it does. It is the nature of number that allows this wonder. An equation first stimuli such as touch, and according to Max Planck, mind of the Big Bang. Molecules, living cells and minerals are all formed by atoms combining together in special mixes to create different substances. All are atoms, all are particles, all have subnuclear particles, and the galaxies themselves are held in position by these subnuclear particles. What scientists do not yet know is the ultimate question for them. What is the synthesis between the cosmos and the quantum world? What is the thread that links the quantum to the cosmos? It is because of division in language and perception that this answer cannot be found. But we will discover this secret wave-like thread and find that if we pull upon it, we shall unravel the mysteries of the universe. The word crystal is derived over time from several languages, including Greek and Latin, and means variously ice or hard solid surface. The word itself does not sum up the beautiful nature of the structure of the crystal, nor the vast untapped depths of its inner spaces, the void within. And yet within the mathematical equations and the wonder of the crystalline form can be found great depth. The universe is often said to be of crystalline form, a series of strings and lattices, a matrix of creation of platonic forms built one upon the other, from the very particle in the atom to the solar system within the galaxy, from the vast universe and down to the formations of galaxies, and even further down to our very own DNA. The forms and structures of the crystal can be found. When water turns to ice, we see beautiful crystal forms appear, snowflakes and ice crystals. Humans themselves are composed of mainly water, and so we are fluid crystal forms ourselves. Even our society forms in crystalline shapes as we merge together as if drops within the ocean of humanity. But we are also whole people within a greater whole itself. Water is a fluid substance, a cleansing substance. It has been seen across time as a sacred domain, a world linked inextricably to the unconscious self. It mirrors the vibrations of the world and even the solar and lunar system around it. The molecular structure of water is even actually affected by crystals. The sea itself moves in wave-like form in accordance with the gravitational push and pull of the moon. It is part of a greater whole pulled by the wave-like force of gravity. If the seas and oceans are affected in this way, then we too are part of the greater whole, and we too are affected by the same influences. These influences come in the form of waves, whether gravity, energy or light, whether from the universe, our Earth, or even crystals. To be alive, water needs vibration, a waveform. All life needs a waveform, the energy spark created at the very beginning. Existence is in fact a vibration, like a word spoken and given life. In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. Genesis. Dr. Masaru Emoto is now infamous for having taken a range of remarkable photographs of water crystals forming and showing how human emotions actually affected the beauty of the formation. The question is, how is this possible? Emoto puts this down to the waveform, vibration from our own thoughts. The whole universe is like this, in a state of vibration. Whether a piece of wood or tectonic plate, all things vibrate, and crystals too sing to the harmony of vibration. Quartz crystal begins its life deep within the earth from hot vapour, which is a supersaturated solution of silicon dioxide. As it cools, a unit cell of quartz forms around a nucleating site in the same way that an oyster forms. It is a matrix created around a seed point. The forming atoms and bonding are laid down where there is most energy, the molecules adhering to the base silicon matrix. Made up as a tetrahedron-shaped molecule, it is now composed of 4 atoms of oxygen with 1 silicon atom suspended within. This primary cell unit now attracts other silicon dioxide molecules, and over time trillions of these cells link together in a spiraling motion, layer upon layer, until the crystal is made. The crystal is a known quantum converter that is able to transmit energy in a magnified state, and this energy can easily be absorbed or received by biological matter, such as the human body. The crystal is formed via a wave-like spiraling motion and is a known quantum converter transmitting energy information at a magnified rate. Stimulating a crystal makes it vibrate or sing. These vibrations make waves, which human receptors pick up and convert back to binary information. This means that vibratory information or energy at different frequencies can be stored inside the empty space like memory. This is no different to what we shall see with dark matter, the space within the atom, and of course the unconscious world of the mind. This is also why scientists today use crystal within the heart of computers. These crystals do much more though. They also amplify the energy like temples magnifying sound. Dark matter in our universe does exactly the same thing. We can see distant galaxies because dark matter magnifies their existence, bringing the light into our consciousness. In sleep, the dark matter of our mind, or our unconscious world, mirrors this process and highlights to us issues about our own self that our conscious world needs to work upon. Crystals and their prism structures can be found at every level of existence, from the S-matrix of the subatomic domain to the nature of molecules, from crystal-like gravity fields and even magnetism. The crystal structure is all permeating. By moving crystals, applying pressure or other stimuli such as touch, they can be forced to offer up their inhaled information energy, such as that of the holographic universe or matrix to which all things are connected, including the wave particles within the crystal. The same is true also of our unconscious world, which reacts according to psychological stimuli. Is this also true of the dark matter of the universe itself? Can we stimulate the mind of the universe to offer up its innermost secrets? Within the crystal structure, whether quartz, magnetite, the brain or the universe as a whole, there is a marvellous truth embedded and awaiting release. Our ancestors built around the globe a huge array of sacred temples and monuments. Many of these encompass the archetypal forms seen in nature. Others mirror the pattern and movements of the planets. Others still are the great axis mundi, the gateway to heaven or illumination. However, in a lot of these locations, we also find the use of granite, which is mostly quartz crystal. The King's Chamber in the Great Pyramid, for instance, is encased in granite, and Jacob's ladder to the 7 levels of heaven was only envisaged once Jacob laid his head upon a granite stone slab. For centuries, if not thousands of years, people have recognised something special in crystals. They have been used for physical and spiritual healing, and people feel a close affinity to them and are drawn to them for some peculiar and untold reason. They resonate or vibrate at specific frequencies, which, if we were able, we would hear as beautiful harmonic music. This is the music of the universe. Quartz crystal resonates at a frequency that is perfectly in tune with the frequency of the human mind when about to enter an altered state of consciousness. It is on the point of sleep before we enter our unconscious world. That is, the very substance found beneath Jacob's head and encasing the king's chamber actually resonates at that special frequency utilised by shaman throughout time to connect with the gods. The world of the unconscious is the world not closed to the nature of the cosmos as our conscious mind often is. The unconscious world is free to think, not cluttered by the world we have created. But there is more to the tale, for along with every wave or resonance, there is the particle. The wave and particle are not divided, only we do this. They are instead the wave particle, united as one. But what is a particle? It is the messenger carried along the energy wave. Light particles travel to our eyes along light waves, and in the same way, thought particles travel along thought waves within our mind. This is the world of quantum physics, the world of the subatomic. Everything is made of atoms, and within every atom are particles, messengers carrying information via resonance. It is like a mini world of mandalas. A mandala is a drawing or structure used by adepts in the East to visualise existence itself, and in so doing they are visualising something that cannot be seen by the human eye. Instead, they are utilising the third eye, the intuitive state which works best when the mind resonates at the same frequencies as quartz crystal and indeed the earth itself. This is the point of connection between man and nature, our true state of knowing. Via a new science known as quantum entanglement, scientists have proven that particles of thought can indeed entangle with another person's thought particles. This was much more effective when two participating individuals were emotionally attached, and less effective when they did not know each other. This is a kind of extrasensory perception, and it is a natural state that we have forgotten how to use or hear, at least forgotten in our conscious realm. The world is full of too many perception-grabbing things, clutter for the conscious mind, that we no longer even realise that there is indeed more depth to our state of being. By following what our alchemical and Gnostic friends of the past told us, we can reduce this clutter and burn it off, thus revealing a world below that has long since been forgotten. Scientists at the Stanford University of Education said, a pair of quantum systems in an entangled state can be used as a quantum information channel to perform computational cryptographic tasks that are impossible for classical systems. It is a method of information exchange that is non-classical, that is, not as we generally understand. The question now is, if we can entangle with the particles of thought of another person, then can we entangle with the particles within the great crystal universe itself? The answer will be found within the waveform of electromagnetism. Man has always revered birds, from the shaman flying in a tranced state across the land to the artist's depiction of winged angels. Something has always attracted us to these creatures. Maybe it is the way they can just take flight and disappear. Maybe it is a shared understanding of travel and migration which speaks to our nomadic hearts. The bird is basically reptilian and therefore lacks a mammalian cortex and midbrain. Their migratory instinct comes from the cerebellum or old brain, the same part of the human brain which governs our instinctive and spiritual element. Research has shown that birds are sensitive to the Earth's electromagnetic field. Electromagnetic radiation waves are produced by the acceleration or oscillation of an electrical charge. These waves are both electric and magnetic. The frequency of the waves can range from high to low. Visible light is a small part of the electromagnetic spectrum, as are X-rays, gamma rays, ultraviolet radiation, infrared radiation, and micro and radio waves. Add to this quantum physics, whereby particles also exist, and we have a complex and universal energy in everything. Now we must also understand that we see only part of this wonderful wave particle dimension, light. We hear only sound waves, and we only see those other areas of the spectrum by the use of special machines. In truth, there are whole new dimensions out there, all around us, just like the Force in Star Wars. You can almost feel it and touch it. Birds are in touch with electromagnetism. A homing pigeon that was blinded by frosted glass contact lenses and taken 1,000 kilometres away from home made the return journey without error. The reason for this is that between its eyes there is an area of tissue with over 1 million bar-shaped pieces of magnetite. Magnetite is a magnetised mineral of iron oxide and was used by the ancients as a compass because it naturally swings northward. The Chinese knew of its properties and thought it magical. The magnetite picks up the Earth's magnetic currents and triggers directional messages to the bird's brain via the pineal gland. In 1970, Dr. Robin Baker of Manchester University experimented on humans to discover whether this was the case. Blindfolded volunteers were taken from their homes, disoriented, and then asked to point the way home. A majority, above the accepted mathematical probability, pointed correctly. When, in later tests, bars of magnets and brass were attached to the volunteers' heads, only the ones wearing brass could point their way home. The magnet had affected their ability to see the way. A Czech physicist found that people could actually detect changes in the magnetic field as small as 1 in 1 billion of a gauge. A typical child's magnet is 1,000 gauge. If, in our ancient past we actually did have this directional compass within us, would it be possible to get it back? The answer, of course, is yes. We just need to clear some clutter first. Many parascientists have discovered electromagnetic effects emanating from ancient standing stones. The Dragon Project, specifically set up to monitor energies from such structures, states that all stone circles in England and Wales occur within a mile of surface faults which are known to cause certain electromagnetic effects. A large cross-section of scientists and parascientists have reported that peculiar effects upon humans can occur due to the radiation produced. These effects include dreams and psychic abilities, lights and noises. All of these occur more frequently at times of greater importance, such as the solstice, when the powerful electromagnetic currents of the sun are often felt. Strangely, scientific experiments have shown that blocking the area of the pineal gland within the brain actually reduces man's ability to see the way home, as well as his perceived psychic abilities. This is the same location as a bird's magnetite. The pineal organ is one of the outgrowths of the pineal apparatus. In aquatic and gill-breathing creatures, it can form a photosensitive eye-like structure which is involved in the diurnal rhythm of colour change. In ancient reptiles, it formed a separate or third eye on top of the head. It persists in higher vertebrates and may function as an endocrine gland, internally secreting into the blood and affecting distant parts of the body. The pineal gland exerts some form of chemical reaction which are not fully understood. Autopsies on mediums and spiritually inclined people have revealed larger pineal glands that contain a clear fluid called serotonin, which in turn makes melatonin. Serotonin, when depleted by amphetamines, causes mild psychedelic effects. Strangely, it is also thought to influence our rhythms of activity. The pineal gland is associated with colour recognition, and reptiles can change the colour of this third eye. It is also associated with measuring the length of the day and keeping track of the seasons. It is sensitive to the rhythms and cycles of nature and is responsible for transferring that information to us. It is the connection point to nature itself, talking to us and passing on information. Hindu tradition claims this area to be the centre of the sixth chakra, the centre of man's spirituality and psychic abilities. This is the reason why people of many faiths wear a red dot on the forehead. Chakra means wheel and energy centre. The initiated are trained to perceive chakra as whirls of altering colours. In ancient Kabbalistic theology, the kether or crown is over the head and therefore relates to the pineal gland. The kether is the crown of pure brilliance or shining one. It is the point where all life's energies are perceived as springing from the Godhead. Many animals have a variety of senses, which we are yet to understand, such as the ability to emit small electrical discharges, underwater vibrations, infrasound and ultrasound. Some birds can detect polarized light, which helps them to see the fingerprint of their prey as it leaves a pattern across the ground. Snakes can see and produce images in infrared radiation. Can man use more senses than we know? Should we believe that the Dowser's skill is simply that they are more acutely in touch with their senses. The term "to be mesmerised" comes from the Austrian physician Franz Anton Mesmer, who believed that the human nervous system was magnetised. He coined the phrase animal magnetism and claimed that magnetism from the planets had actually caused healing at one church in Austria. He developed a therapeutic regime which incorporated iron magnets, magnetite, and the laying on of hands. Mesmer built up a large following, many of whom claimed to have been healed by his animal magnetism. The modern day term for mesmerism is hypnotism, and it is at this point, the hypnotic state, that our mind resonates at that special quartz frequency. Researchers have found that magnetite actually clusters around the pineal gland within our brain, and magnetite itself is a wonderful crystal linking our intuitive natural state with the natural world around us. Our consciousness has divided us from the true abilities of our own mind. So, through the electromagnetic connection within our mind, via the magnetite and pineal system, we can actually intuitively understand directional information. We can know where we are and which way we need to go, because the wave carrier of electromagnetism carries the information messages of particles. But our ancestors also told us that we can understand much more, that we can be one with the Word, with God. If we therefore entangle with particles, not just those of other humans with whom we feel an emotional connection, but with nature, especially if we have an emotional connection to nature, then we can form as one mind with nature itself, the mind of God. A good friend and best-selling author Hamish Miller is a world-renowned dowser. Using rods or a pendulum, Hamish and others can detect the subtle electromagnetic energy flow of the Earth and pinpoint the patterns for us all to see. He brings the unseen world into view. I've often seen Hamish perform this task, sometimes with a few people and sometimes with hundreds. He begins by dowsing the landscape and revealing the patterns of energy flow upon the ground. Then he asks all those present to send a message to the Earth, to tell the Earth and the great universe that we know it is there and that we respect it. Hamish then dowses again and reveals a more intricate and gradually more beautiful pattern. What Hamish is doing is what Masaru Emoto does with ice crystals. He is revealing our connection to the universe, a previously unseen connection in waveform pattern. This connection of waveform is passing particles of thought information from one to the other, from us to the Earth and back again. We are communicating with nature in a very real and very quantum way. Our ancestors used to thank the earth, the mother, for the produce, for the animals and plants, for the water. He used to thank the solar god in the sky for the light and the heat. He respected himself because he was part of the whole. Today we disrespect nature and rape her without thanks and without thought. What message are we sending to ourselves? People like Masaru Emoto, Hamish Miller, and the science of quantum physics reveals the mind of God, the mind of the oneness to us all. We can see a consciousness actually at work like never before. All we have to do is join the dots and we see the bigger picture. But what do actual quantum scientists say? James Gardner is a complexity theorist and peer-reviewed scientific writer whose biocosm theory proposes that the appearance of life in the universe is no accident or chance event. Rather, he views life as an expression of a great cosmic intelligence, hardwired into a timeless, dynamic cycle of creation, evolution and renewal. The ultimate purpose of highly evolved life, Gardner argues, is ultimately to infuse the entire universe with intelligence, eventually creating a single, vast, cosmic life form. The universe is intelligent at the subatomic level and acts like a DNA feedback loop. DNA sends out purposeful signals in order to grow, then it stops and waits for a signal to come back before proceeding. In this way, life is formed in perfect continuity with its surroundings and according to an incredible mathematically complex design. The universe seems to be doing exactly the same thing at the subatomic and quantum level. The universe is a vast vibrating crystal form, no different to our own brain. It is linked mathematically and via quantum mechanics to the wave particle of thought. In fact, the evidence is now revealing that every facet of the universe is part of a grand mind. Our problem is that we have divided nature into compartments and no longer see the whole. We have named everything, and in so doing we have reduced them down to constituent parts. We have separated them one from another, and this is not reality, but our own created reality. The truth of the existence of all things will and can only be found in realising the whole and not the parts. As John Ciardi said, who could believe an ant in theory, a giraffe in blueprint? 10,000 doctors of what's possible could reason half the jungle out of being. Sir Isaac Newton used a crystal to separate light into the spectrum. He divided the wave and particle stream so that what he saw was the divided parts. He then used another crystal to form them back together again. When all these colours are formed back as one, the result is pure white light. Purity is found in the whole, undivided nature. Nature, without the supposed conscious self-awareness of man and his inherent free will, does not name and divide. Instead, it forms balance when left alone. It comes back together in accordance with the natural laws of mathematics inbuilt into all things. By dividing nature, we upset the mathematical purposefulness of it. We divide more than just our own minds. We divide ourselves from it. When a crystal is sliced in half and then placed side by side, the two divided parts form back together again, in perfection. It is the law. We have forgotten this intuitive process. We are divided by our own free will from the pure white light. But there is a deeper concept here, and one that reveals the mind of the grand architect himself. Quantum physics states that when we observe a particle, we can cause an effect by our own free will. Mathematical equations suggest to us that what the majority of particles will do, but every now and then, one or another particle will decide to do something different. This is a kind of chaos theory, as if by naming it we can understand it. The truth is that scientists do not understand the complexity of it all. In the same way, we can mathematically predict what a group of humans will do, but every now and then one of them will do something different, because of its free will and own complexities. How is it that we can say the free will of the human is the explanation for this mathematical conundrum, and yet accuse the particle of chaos? The truth is that the particle is acting according to some kind of free will, and so what has been stated for thousands of years and is now coming into scientific realization is the fact that there is a greater mind at work. That mind is seen in the glorious mathematics derived from the early stages of the Big Bang itself, and so that mind is the mind of the Creator. It is ultimate free will. This is the thread between the cosmos and the quantum world. This is the unifying concept, the connection missed by division between right and left hemispheres. It is mind, awareness, conscious-minded nature at the heart of it all, born from, of, and giving birth to the Big Bang itself. That mind is the universal quantum crystal prism. We can peer into that crystal and see the beautiful colours of the rainbow. But one thing is sure, we will also see ourselves. It is not dark matter, it is the quantum mind of God.